Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. I'm Colin, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite albums of all time, The Fall by Gorillaz. Now, this is, in my opinion, the most underrated Gorillaz album. Now, Gorillaz have a very extensive discography. They've been around since 2000, and what Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett have been able to create with this concept, this project, this band, this art piece is nothing short of incredible. So if you've watched some of my videos, specifically like the most influential albums from my childhood or my top modern synth pop albums, you know how big of a Gorillaz fan I am. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that either A, haven't listened to this album, or they haven't really given it a chance if they have listened to it and they just aren't quite like feeling it on their first or second time. So this is a very unique album in their discography. Damon Albarn wrote and recorded this while on the Plastic Beach tour in 2010. So he wrote and recorded it all on an iPad, and then they later like took it back to London and like finished mixing it. But all of the sounds, all of the instruments, all of the actual like initial like raw recordings were done right on an iPad. So it's a weird like amalgamation of some more like synthetic sounds and then like some actual real instruments as well. This is also pretty unique because it is, at least the way that he kind of described it, it is a musical journal of his time on the American leg of the Plastic Beach tour. So each song was written in a specific city or a specific stop on the tour, and the vast majority of them are like what Damon was feeling or experiencing or inspired by while he was in that city. So you've got like Phoner to Arizona, which is the opening one, which is actually, I think he actually wrote that one while he was in Canada. So I guess it's not just America, but like North America. And then you've got Revolving Doors, Hillbilly Man, Detroit, which was obviously written in Detroit, and so forth and so forth. So it's a weird album, but man, I love it. I love how like raw and just like how much it's not trying to really be a pop album. And you know, Gorillaz at their core, they are like a pop band. They're an alternative pop band. Obviously, they've got a lot of other elements thrown into their stuff. They've got, you know, hip hop, punk, electronica, lots of like psychedelic. Like there's a lot of different sounds that go into a Gorillaz album, and this is definitely one of like the most unique because it's borderline like lo-fi at points. It's borderline like ambient at points. There's some just like acoustic singer-songwriter stuff on here. There's some parts of it that really kind of almost sound like video game soundtrack adjacent. It's such a wild album, and I don't feel like enough people give it the attention that it deserves. Specifically, there's like one thing that I feel like really makes most Gorillaz albums, which is, you know, a ton of features, and ironically, this and then like one of my other favorite Gorillaz albums, the Now Now, both are pretty light on the features. The only vocal feature on this album is Bobby Womack on the track Bobby in Arizona, but it's a beautiful, soulful, like just heartbreaking song. I think it's honestly some of Bobby Womack's best work. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his. I've listened to his discography front to back, but like, it's such a gorgeous song, especially on the like the tail end of his career, and tail end of his life as well. And then there's like Mick Jones, who is touring with them, plays on a couple tracks. Paul Simonon, who I believe was their touring bassist at the time, is also on a couple tracks. And there's, I think, a couple more here and there. So pretty light on the features just overall. And it's got this great just like experimental electronic feel mixed with some more like acoustic indie rock, and it's just out there, man. I love it so much. My favorite song is Hillbilly Man. It starts off like really light and kind of you know, this beautiful sort of acoustic number, and then like this hard hitting crunchy like electronic beat just comes in, and it gets just like this weird trippy kind of electro pop thing going on. California in the Setting the Sun is also absolutely incredible. The last like electronic ending of it is so much fun. There's some weird like radio samples on this as well that he kind of mixed in on, I believe, like the Joplin Spider. It's just, oh man, I love it so much. So if you haven't listened to this album, go check it out. I don't know if I would necessarily give this one an A+. It does end on like a weird note, so it ends. I think it's called the Yodeling in Seattle, or Seattle Yodel, which I think is Damon just, and I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure it's Damon just taking a toy called the Yodeling Pickle and then like messing around with that to kind of create like a weird loop. And it's an interesting way to end the album. So it's not, it's not necessarily like an enjoyable song to listen to unless you like yodeling, but it's only like 38 seconds long, so it's not too bad. So I don't think it's a perfect album by any means. I don't think it's the best album in their discography, but it's definitely their most underrated in my opinion. I do give it a solid A minus, depending on like what you're feeling at any given day. But I was super stoked when this one first came out on vinyl, or at least they did this issue. I don't know how many times they've pressed this. I know the Record Store Day, like the green exclusive one that I got, is one of like only a handful of pressings, I believe, but they're not expensive because there's not enough people out there listening to this album, enjoying this album, really taking the time to take it in. So if you like Gorillaz, you don't have this in your discography, go buy it. But yeah, Gorillaz, The Fall, hands down one of my favorite albums, and definitely the most underrated in their discography. All right, guys, cool. That's going to be it for me. As always, please like, subscribe, comment down below if you've listened to this album. If you haven't, go check it out. And as always, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.